book lovers, welcome back to the Bibliovert channel. My name is Jacqueline. So for today's video, I thought we could talk about my most anticipated releases of 2022. So far I have about 11 books on this list. Some of them are going to be the very beginning in series. I have one that's a standalone, and then several of them are actually sequels in an ongoing series. I also know that this list is probably going to grow throughout the year, considering a lot of these are only focused on the beginning of the year since we don't have a lot of information on later releases. But I thought we could go ahead and talk about the books that we do know are coming out in 2022. So let's dive right on in. So the first one on my list is coming out on February 15th, and it is Crescent City 2, House of Sky and Breath. And I'm not gonna lie, I am very interested to see where this book goes. So Crescent City is not my favorite out of Sarah J. Maas's works. However, I fully expect to fall more and more in love with it as the series goes on, because I think Sarah J. Maas is a second-end writer in particular. So I am nervous and on the edge of my seat to see where she takes this series, because I have a feeling it's going to go in a direction that I'm not anticipating at all. I am also planning on doing a Crescent City 1, House of Earth and Blood reread before the second one comes out, because it's been a minute since I've read it. And I think I'm gonna have to get caught up on the world building and a lot of kind of the twists and turns that happen throughout the book. But the first time I read it, I really enjoyed it. So this is one that I'm certainly looking forward to. I don't think it's my most anticipated release of the year, but I do think it's a good consistent middle of the road. The next one is coming out on February 22nd, and this is by an author that I have not read before, but it is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. When I read this description, I was captivated and so intrigued. This book sounds incredible. So our main character, Mina, lives in a village that is consistently destroyed by storms that come off of the sea. So the villagers have begun throwing a girl into the sea to become the bride of the sea god. However, when the bride is chosen for this year, it is Mina's oldest brother's beloved. So when it comes down to it, Mina instead throws herself into the sea to save her brother's love. She is then swept away to the spirit realm, where she finds that the sea god has actually been put to sleep, and that is why there have been such awful storms. So now she has to go on this journey to wake up the sea god. Even from just reading the description, the imagery that I am getting, it just sounds absolutely amazing. Sounds like it's going to be a fresh take on a lot of things, very unique and new. And needless to say, this is one that I am very excited about. There are 3 books that are coming out on March 1st that it's gonna be a good day. That's all I'm gonna say, because all 3 of them, one is a sequel to a book that I cannot wait. One is written by my absolute favorite author of all time. And then this third one just sounds so freaking cool that it's just going to be a great day. So the first one is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Now, I've only read one book by Schwab, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but I do hope to rectify that in 2022. I really want to read her Darker Shades of Magic series, and so that one is a priority read for me in 2022. But when I read the description for Gallant, it just sounds so cool. So it is a standalone, which is also something that I feel like we don't see as much anymore. And it's honestly quite refreshing, because you don't feel like you have to commit, and you're not going to be left on a cliffhanger or anything like that. But this is about a girl who grew up in a children's home, and she gets an invitation to go back to her mother's family's house called Gallant. And when she goes, everything is not as it seems. She can see these half-formed ghosts, and her cousin is not very friendly towards her by any means. And one day she goes and she explores in the garden, and when she goes through a door, she comes out in a different realm where all of the ghosts and ghouls are fully formed, and there's kind of this evil presence that is lurking there. So when I read this, it absolutely gave me Stranger Things vibes with the Upside Down, where it's still the same location. However, there's like an extra veil on things, or maybe a better way to put it is a lack of veil. And so it's like everything's almost the same, but not quite. And then it also definitely has like a secret garden flavor to it as well, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. The next one that is coming out on March 1st is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. And this is the sequel to It Happened One Summer. And y'all, I loved It Happened One Summer. If you have watched the TV show Schitt's Creek, it is based off of Alexis Rose's character. And in Hook, Line, and Sinker, this is who Alexis Rose's character's sister was in It Happened One Summer. So this is about Hannah and the character Fox from the first one, and Hannah is determined to catch the eye of her coworker, and she has asked Fox for his help. And of course they fall in love, and there's tension and witty banter, and I'm so excited. It Happened One Summer. It was honestly one of my favorite romance books that I read in 2021. And I just think that this one is going to be just as good. And Tessa Bailey has some of the best like humor and banter that I've read in a long time. The last book that is coming out on March 1st is written by my favorite author. I absolutely love the Ember and the Ashes series by Sapa Tahir. It not only captured my imagination, but the writing style was so profound and impactful and just absolutely had me in a chokehold the entire time that I was reading the series, and I absolutely adored it. So Saba has now shifted from writing fantasy to writing contemporary, and this book is called All My Rage. It is a multiple POV and I believe multiple timeline story about this family who immigrated from Pakistan to California and opened a motel. And so it is about the parents as well as one of their children and then another child who grew up in the same town. And it is a book about forgiveness and emotions and experiencing racism and immigration and culture and family. And it just sounds amazing. It just sounds absolutely incredible. And from what I can understand, I think a lot of it is based off of Saba's own growing up, because her family owned a motel in California. So I cannot wait to see that she transitions from fantasy into contemporary. I think that it is going to be an absolute masterpiece, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. The next one that is coming out is on March 15th, and I know that I have mixed emotions as to why I put it on this list. Because on one hand, I'm like, Jacqueline, learn your lesson. And then on the other hand, I'm like, yes, but I'm still anticipating it. And that's what this list is all about, books that I'm anticipating being released. So here we are. But it is The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And this is the fourth book in the From Blood and Ash series. I absolutely adored From Blood and Ash, and then it has consistently gone downhill from there. If you want more of our thoughts, you can go check out our episodes over on the Bibliovertpodcast. We have one for each of the books in the series, as well as A Shadow in the Ember. A Crown of Gilded Bones just ended on such like a what kind of moment that I'm like, yes, of course I'm gonna read it. I'm like, part of me's angry that I'm gonna read it, and then the other part of me's like, but like I need to know what happens. And so I begrudgingly have affection towards this series, so it's on the list. But I do genuinely recommend From Blood and Ash. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were so many things that I didn't see coming. I thought the plot twists were wonderful. I really enjoyed the characters. If you want to hear our thoughts, go listen to our episodes because we have a lot of them. So let's just go ahead and move on. This next one is genuinely one that I am thrilled about and cannot wait. It comes out on May 5th, and it is Glow by Raven Kennedy, and this is the 4th book in the Plated Prisoner series. If you have not read this series and you are interested in it, please check out the trigger warnings before you start, because there are some pretty serious themes throughout, especially the first book. But this series also had me in a chokehold and is so freaking good. This is a Midas retelling, and that's where I'm gonna leave it at. It is so good. So good. The main character, Auren, just her perspective on the world around her is beautiful. And then we are introduced to some characters in book 2 that are just amazing. So I loved this series this year. Truly, I think it was probably one of my favorites. So I'm very, very excited for the 4th book in this series. Another book that, I cannot wait. It comes out on May 31st, and it is A Game of Retribution by Scarlett St. Clair. So the Touch of Darkness series is all from Persephone's point of view, and then the Game of's series is all from Hades' point of view. So they each match up with a book. So you have A Touch of Darkness from Persephone's point of view matches up with A Game of Fate from Hades' point of view, and then we have A Touch of Ruin, and this is the companion to that one, and it is called A Game of Retribution. And I cannot wait. I enjoyed the Touch of Darkness series a lot. We say this quite often on our channel as well as our podcast, that we are Hades trash. And that's generally for any Hades, but particularly this one. And Game of Fate was incredible and is hands down my favorite of the series. So I cannot wait to get Hades' point of view of what happens in the 2nd book. And then the last touch of will be dual POV. This is a series that I truly enjoy, and it's wonderful, and Scarlett St. Clair has done an incredible job writing it, and so I will be positively feral for absolutely anything that is a Hades POV, so it deserves to be on this list. So this next one is another little rom-com, and it comes out on August 23rd, and it is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, whom I absolutely fell in love with The Love Hypothesis. I loved it so much I read it twice. It is incredible. So this is technically the sequel, however, completely new characters. We do not see Olive and Adam in this book at all, from what I understand, but this is about Bee, who is a neuroscientist who gets put on a NASA project with Levi, who is kind of a grumpy engineer, and they have some sort of past, and she is convinced that he hates her and he's going to sabotage her success with this NASA project. So one of the things that I absolutely adore about Ali Hazelwood is that she writes incredible women in STEM, and I cannot wait for more, and I need more, even though I could never succeed in STEM. I do not have a math and science brain, but I love reading about strong, capable women who do have a math and science brain. So if you have not read The Love Hypothesis, please do go read it. And then on August 23rd, when this one comes out, join me in going to the bookstore and buying it immediately, because it just sounds so good. This next one comes out on August 30th, and it is The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this is the 3rd book in the Inheritance Games, I believe, trilogy, so I think this is going to be the final book. And I have really enjoyed this series. I've kind of compared it to like a Knives Out mystery, almost kind of like if the board game Clue was a book, because it just feels like there's so many twists and turns and things to not expect. You have to gather all the clues and the secrets in order to play the game, and it has been a very fun, enjoyable, quick read for me. So I am very interested to see where this book is going to take the storyline, and if I am correct in it being a trilogy, tie everything up with a nice little bow. And the last one that is on this list, it comes out on November 8th, and it is A Tempest of Sea by Hafsa Fazal. And I don't know a whole lot about this book, except that she says that it is a King Arthur meets Peaky Blinders meets vampires meets heist. Ma'am, you did not have to go that hard. That sounds like, I'm done. I'm sold. That's literally, if that is what is on the dust jacket, like on the back, like I'm done. Like, take my money now. It sounds so good. And I have read We Have the Flame and We Free the Stars by Hafsa Fazal, and her writing is amazing. So that is literally everything I need to know, that this book is going to be incredible, and I am already chomping at the bit to get my hands on that one because it sounds absolutely fantastic. Well, that is it for this video on my 2022 releases that I am very, very excited about. As we get more information on releases that are going to be happening throughout the year, I might make a second video to get kind of those second half of the year releases covered. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking this video and also subscribing to our channel. We would really, really appreciate it. If you are interested in knowing a little bit more about us, you can check us out on Instagram at the Bibliovertpodcast. We also have a podcast called the Bibliovertpodcast, where we talk about books and have just the best time ever. We have an episode that comes out every single Monday, and we also have the Patreon that is filled with some of the most incredible book-loving humans on the entire planet. So if you are looking for a bookish community, then please feel free to come join our family. We would absolutely love to have you. But I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy reading, and we'll see you next time.